Hello, and welcome to our third segment of Azimuth Podcast. Now, we will continue our presidential candidate series, and today we are focusing on Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida and a presidential candidate for the upcoming 2024 election. I am Kimberly McNabb, and I am joined by my husband, Barrett McNabb.
We're so excited to have you once again. Let's discuss Ron DeSantis' candidacy, his strengths and his weakness. He's definitely been making headlines lately.
So Ron DeSantis, the current governor of Florida, announced his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election on May 24th. And right now, we will watch his announcement.
Our border is a disaster. Crime infests our cities. The federal government makes it harder for families to make ends meet, and the president flounders. But decline is a choice. Success is attainable, and freedom is worth fighting for. Righting the ship requires restoring sanity to our society, normalcy to our communities, and integrity to our institutions. Truth must be our foundation, and common sense can no longer be an uncommon virtue. In Florida, we proved that it can be done. We chose facts over fear, education over indoctrination, law and order over rioting and disorder. We held the line when freedom hung in the balance. We showed that we can and must revitalize America. We need the courage to lead and the strength to win. I'm Ron DeSantis, and I'm running for president to lead our great American comeback.
Well, he is no stranger to the political scene, having served as the governor since January 2019. And prior to that, he represented Florida's 6th congressional district in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Now, DeSantis' record as governor has drawn attention, especially with his response to the coronavirus pandemic. He made headlines by lifting many restrictions earlier than other governors, which sparked both praise and criticism.
And more recently, DeSantis has received criticism for several policies. For instance, he signed a bill banning the teaching of critical race theory in public schools, and he has been known for his strong stance against what he calls woke ideology.
It's clear DeSantis has been positioning himself as a conservative candidate, but that comes with both strengths and weaknesses. Let's start by discussing his strengths.
One of DeSantis' strengths lays in his communication style. He is known for addressing issues head-on and discussing solutions rather than just listing problems or attacking opponents. This straightforward approach could resonate well with voters who only want to hear practical solutions.
And his record as governor is another strong point. Florida's business-friendly environment increases in teachers' salaries, and his focus on workplace development and training programs showcase his commitment to the state's economic growth and education system.
In addition, he also secured significant funding for Everglades restoration as governor, which appeals to voters concerned about environmental conservation. In addition to the normal amount of stress in a presidential campaign, potential voters will also see how DeSantis responds to Hurricane Idalia later this week. While some of the other candidates' only job is to be a candidate for the presidency, DeSantis is still performing his duties as governor. He left the campaign trail this week to attend to the shooting spree in Jacksonville and for the upcoming Hurricane Idalia crisis. Got to put the interest of the people first. I mean, there's a time and a place to have political season. We have a responsibility as Americans to come together and do what we can to mitigate any damage and to protect the people. So that's what I have done on all these different issues, and that's what I will continue to do. When you have these situations, you've got to step up. That sounds like real leadership to me.
Yep. However, with strengths come weaknesses. Some critics have pointed out that DeSantis can sometimes come across as robotic in his speech delivery, as in the GOP debate last week, which could affect his ability to connect with voters on that personal level. In our coverage of the first GOP debate, you will hear our criticisms and recommendations for Governor DeSantis on the campaign trail.
And there have been some questionable decisions, like his campaign announcement on Twitter, which had sound issues, as well as dropping off thousands of viewers on Twitter, now known as X, and laying off a third of his staff last month. These actions have raised speculation about fund management and management skills.
Another potential challenge for DeSantis is his stance on certain issues, like abortion and education. His signing of the bills restricting abortion and limiting discussions on gender identity and sexual orientation in schools might not sit well with all voters, including independents.
And while he has strengths in his economic policies, focusing too much on the culture wars, such as with Disney, might lead some voters to perceive him as less interested in addressing the rising cost of living and other economic challenges. And let's not forget the 800-pound gorilla in the Republican room, Donald Trump, who tends to suck the oxygen in the room. Supporters wonder how any Republican candidate can get out from his shadow and shine. We saw that in the first GOP debate. When questioned about January 6, 2021, DeSantis said that we need to focus more on the future, not the past, only to be tied back down by Bret Baier, reminding him that the Republican base does want to talk about the past.
And that's a great point. It's clear DeSantis has both strengths and weaknesses, and as the campaign season progresses, it'll be interesting to see how he navigates these challenges. As always, it's essential for voters to consider a candidate's entire record and approach when making their decision.
Well, that wraps up our discussion of Ron DeSantis' presidential candidacy. Thank you for joining us today on our podcast. Be sure to tune in next time for more thought-provoking conversations.
Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.